Hello friends, welcome to another day of Excel. Before we begin, I would like to tell you that knowledge is power, as you know, but it becomes even more powerful when it is applied in our life. Whatever we learn, okay, it becomes very powerful when it is applied in life scenarios. Like whatever you learn today, assume that you are learning your Excel today. When you get an opportunity, if you could apply that your learnings, it becomes your skill, right? So today's discussion we are going to discuss about countif SUMIFS function, right? So why countif SUMIFS? Let's understand, dig deep and understand the reason for using this particular thing when you have an alternative which is pivot table. So why do we use a pivot table? For summarizing a data. When you have a large set of data, if you want to get an insight out of the data, if you want to get an or if you want to perform an analysis, or you want to get some kind of information from the data set, we generally use a pivot table. However, pivot table has its own limitations. On count if yes and sum if yes, if you use it at appropriate places, like if you're creating a dashboard, especially when you're creating a dashboard, it is very important to use a dynamic formula like COUNTIF and SUMIFS, because the challenge we have with pivot table is it takes a lot of space in your Excel. It takes a lot of space in your Excel. That is one thing. If you make any changes into your data set while using your pivot table, you need to again refresh the data. Once the activity is done, once you have created the pivot table, you have to do a refresh of the pivot table. Again, it's another work you have to do once you have done your pivot table. But in this case, in COUNTIFS and SUMIFS, it gets automatically updated. So your intervention is not required. Basically, once the formula is done, it gets automatically updated if as and when there is any changes in the data set. So that is a very important, very significant aspect of COUNTIFS and SUMIFS. And it is not that difficult to master also. And today I'm going to tell you such a way that it's going to be very, easy for you to understand, and then you can able to start. You can start using it also, right? So let's start. Uh, let's begin this session on COUNTIF SUMIFS. Assume that you have a data set like this, where you have to find out count of male and female from based on a city, right? You can create your pivot table as I said earlier. Pivot table, you all know how it is done. If you have any doubt in that, you can go back and see my previous video. One of my video I have done pivot table, right? But also before I begin, I would also request you to subscribe for this particular channel. As I said earlier, I think you will get a lot of informations. I'm saying, like, you will get a lot of new uh, tools and techniques which would enhance your employability. Maybe it is like you might get it from Excel. Also, I'm going to train you on Power BI. It's one of the software I'm going to train you, and I'm going to teach you again on various other aspects which are required for employability. So start, your subscription, right? Hit the bell icon and subscribe for this particular channel. Now let's move on here. Uh, let's say you have city, male and female, right? In this case, a simple count if yes function can be used. How do we use it? Just see this one. Formula equal to count if yes, open the bracket. Just go by the syntax. What's the syntax says? Count if yes, criteria range 1, criteria 1. Right? Criteria range 1. Let's take Bangalore city. Okay. So city, we have to select the entire column of B, comma. Then select Bangalore, which is a criteria 1, comma. Then it will ask you for criteria range 2. Select the criteria range 2, which is the gender, comma, and then select any one. We can move it. Right. Once you've done this formula, all you can do is you can freeze these B columns using function F4. The day, if you have, remember one of the session I have told you how to use a dollar sign, right? F4. Similarly, function F4. Then for J, we have to put a dollar sign in front because J should not become K. So we are putting a dollar sign in front of an alphabet because it is a column movement which you are freezing. Similarly, we can put a dollar sign between K and 6, where we are where we are trying and preventing it moving from K6 to K7. So we are putting a dollar sign in front of the numerical in this case, which is K6. I hope you understood this concept, right? Now, once you are done, you can copy paste this data. You will have the report ready. Like this, you can just copy it and drag it to the other columns. So the total is 391. So if you count it, you will get the same number, which is 391. You can see it here, 391. So the formula is working fine, right? Instead of this, you can also use a pivot table, but it has its own limitation, which I mentioned earlier, right? So I suggest, in case if you are creating a dashboard, okay, if you're creating a dashboard in Excel, it's better to go with a COUNTIFS function and SUMIFS, right? Now let's move on and see other examples of COUNTIFS. Here we have seen COUNTIFS. Let's see SUMIFS. Okay, SUMIFS. Let's say we are going to do here. Let's say here we'll do it as COUNTIF first before we move on to SUMIF and AVERAGEIF. We have a Bangalore city and we have department wise. So COUNTIFS equal to COUNTIFS. Select the criteria is, first you select the city, first criteria, comma, then select the city, comma, then criteria 2, range, you select the department, comma, then select the department. Now you know how where to put the dollar sign. The first dollar you have to put, for you freeze the column movements, which is B and F, with $2 using function F4 shortcut. Similarly, for A, in front of A, put a dollar so that it won't become B, and then you can put a dollar between B and 1 so that it will not become B2. So copy paste this data and drag it till the end. You will get it total. Just total the thing. And you will get so 391. Just the total number. So which means that formula is working fine. Right? We got the total. Now any change you make, let's say I'm trying and deleting one column here. Now the total is 391. So when I delete one row here, let's say 2 rows I'm deleting. Right? Assume that I'm deleting, immediately it becomes 389 because I have deleted 2 rows. Hope you understood. Right? Now let's move on and see what is sum if yes. Count, it's similar to count if yes. Okay. The only thing is when you do a sum if yes, first we have to select the sum range. See, in a count if yes, the difference between count if yes and sum if yes is very simple. Count if yes, it starts with criteria range 1 and then criteria 1. So two things, and then again you'll go with criteria range 2, criteria 2. But in sum if yes, before all these things, we need to select the sum range first, and then later it becomes a countif function. Initially it starts with sum range, later it becomes a countif function. So count sum range, you select the sum range, which is compensation, comma, then follow exactly what you did for countif yes. You have to select the criteria range, sorry, you have to select the criteria range, which is city, comma, then select city, comma, and then go to department and select the department. So what we have done, we did a similar count if yes function, but only thing is we have added one more column in the front as sum if yes, where we are summing up the column which is a result column basically. So I'm freezing again all this using function F4 and put a dollar sign in front of just a moment. We haven't selected the criteria range 2. We have selected criteria range sum if yes. First we are selecting the sum range, which is compensation clear, and then criteria range 1, which is city, and then select the criteria. Similarly, the criteria range 2 is department. If it is not coming, you can select next row and then bring it here, and then department. Department, comma, select, put a dollar sign, front of A, middle of, we can copy paste. Why it is not coming? D1, yeah, here it is not freezed. So that is why it is not coming. We have freezed it now. Now it will come. We got the total text. This is SUMIFS. Only things between SUMIFS and COUNTIFS, we have added one column which is sum column. So there's a difference. For average EFS, if you select the data, instead of SUMIF, just have to control F, SUMIFS. If we change it to average EFS, it becomes average EFS. We take the average value of this. Yes, all the thing are done. These are the values which are zero, so it is not coming. Other thing all average. Fine. I hope that you have learned these concepts, whatever we have discussed for today, and I suggest you to practice it. Right, you can practice it with your own Excel sheets, and that would be very helpful to you to understand the concepts even more better. Right, and as you said earlier, application, by applying your knowledge, I think you can retain the knowledge. Right, you can retain it for a longer period. You are applying your knowledge, it becomes your asset. Right. So I think I'm done with today's session. Thank you very much.